9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... Oh, 6. Sorry. I said that an old man would drink alcohol while rambling on about nothing in particular. It says here to drink beer, but I plan to drink wine today. I guess I have to change it. I will change it a bit, sorry. I will make it while drinking wine from Georgia. Georgia? George and Company. Is it okay while drinking fine Shoncha fine? Yes, yes, it is. Also, I will revise the trivial summary I always write. I don't change the content text every time, but I wonder if there are people watching this. I don't look at the description when I watch other people's YouTube. Yes, I accidentally said Noruya. Sorry, it's Georgia. How many years ago was it? It became Georgia, not Russia, a few years ago.
Thank you for watching today.
The position of the void was bad. I will reinsert the microphone once. Why, yes, I wonder if it would be better to replug the mic. It often gets better when you replug the mic until the effect of replugging comes out. It takes about 6 seconds, so is that okay? I'm sorry about the mic. Did the sound change? Are you okay? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, it's good to see you're doing well. So, I'm thinking today's thoughts for the time being. That's in Georgia. Georgia. In that pot, there are things like wineskins and branches. So technically it's white wine because you drink what comes out when you put in like the body. So are you not putting it in the river, or are you putting in tree branches? So there are things like grape branches in it. So it's relatively that, although it's technically white wine, it gets colored. That little thing called amber, it gets a kind of golden color, but unlike red wine and such, it's grapes. There shouldn't be a cover inside.
Thank you for watching.
This might have been a bit of a fail. By the way, it's the cheapest one I bought at a convenience store-like place. I wondered what the cheap one tastes like, so I bought it. I was a bit relaxed earlier, but I wonder if this is okay.
Thank you
it was
for
okay.
watching.
It's a bit too unique, somewhat that value. Kachiteri they say, because the wine of that grape variety was delicious. I was wondering about the others. Just because the other one I drank was delicious, it doesn't mean that kachiteri is always delicious, even for us. Sorry, I forgot. Yes, cheers. Tembi, thank you for watching. Roki Hosu style. As of now, the number of concurrent users is about 40, 60. I'm probably keeping around 46,000 yen right now. But it will probably gradually increase when it ends. So I'm thinking about deciding how much to donate. Like a race when we finish with maximum 6. It's not that I'm deciding, but I'm not the one to decide. And the preliminaries of my Dos Hanewaikas, I think I will donate the filling of the Tamego no Blandi clause. I could have just donated normally. But I thought it would be more interesting if other people were involved. So people who are feeding dead fish, welfare recipients, child feed uncles, people who want to do something but don't have money. Just by leaving that screen open for the time being, you can increase the donation by 10 yen. I tried wondering if it's good.
Thank you for watching.
Finally, the internet with intention came out. I think it is close to black, as I'm doing it with a feeling of not existing, so I've been told. Hakana Pond is. Well, I kind of feel like I'm not doing it because I'm determined to fight in court. But I think it's quite difficult to present evidence if you were doing a 40-frame thing, for instance. So when that trial happened, though, there is no evidence in essence. We have to fight with testimony. Isn't physical evidence like something happened 8 years ago difficult? Well, there seems to be some bodily fluid left. I don't think there is a taste, so I think it will be mostly determined by what the person who was there talks. And then there was a person, well, somehow there was a broadcast writer or something like that. If a talent was in Nakano, I guess the testimony will be Mats. I think it will become a testimony from drafted assets. On the female side, I think there was someone called Akko-san and Biko-san, but frankly, if Akko-san and Biko-san probably use money, there is a possibility that the testimony will change. If you say that you were initially victimized, I think you were saying it 8 years ago, probably something like that. A big Me Too movement is starting, and Banshan will give you some money if you leak something, so that's the situation right now. So what if I said that, give you 10 million yen if you turn over the securities? I think most people would fall before the battle. When it comes to that, it feels somewhat difficult. For justice, I will testify without receiving 10 million yen. Bunshun might win. As a result, the testimonies of Akko and Biko are not particularly... You might get a bonus of about 100,000 yen from the anthology. But I guess it's not that much, so I guess this is probably... It's quite difficult to testify, isn't it? Winning with testimony alone seems to be challenging, so there need to be some physical evidence. I think it would be fun if a video comes out, but what do you think? 8 years ago, things like Line weren't so widespread, so I don't think there's much private interaction left. No, it's not a problem to get support, but this thumbnail is scary. I mean, is it really a good thing to be supported by this person, Mr. Kim? Good evening. As Hiroyuki-san mentioned, I have a high regard for Mr. Taro Yamamoto. At least the government could have fanned the delay. In the initial response, what do you think, Hiroku? Well, I don't think I was able to fan the delay in the initial response at all. I was thinking, I don't think it's a case of the Japanese government taking action just because Mr. Yamamoto Taro went. Rather, it was public opinion, so I'm in the faction that thinks Taro Yamamoto should not have gone. Taro Yamamoto said it was right to hear the opinions at the site by seeing the site. At the places where Mr. Yamamoto Taro went are shelters with disaster victims that can be reached by car. In the current peninsula, the evacuation center itself is full of people because they didn't initially think it would get this bad. It seems there are about 160 places where people have set up their own evacuation centers because they can't stay in the ones provided by the government. There are places where it's difficult to establish contact because they are not designated evacuation centers prepared by the government. If so, it would typically... The important thing is to do something for people who can't get supplies or communicate because there's no road there. It seems that if Mr. Yamamoto says something political and reassures us, other politicians will have to follow suit or we need to go to the shelters that can be reached by road, meet the people there, and encourage them. There is a possibility that people who really need help and whose relief supplies and roads are unavailable and who can't even make contact may be put off. That road isn't for sending politicians, but the road, the part that needs to be restored and repaired or send supplies, is used up by the amount of screen where politicians come to greet. In other words, roads are... Since the transportation fee is limited, if politicians go to their residence, then that... If we can't send supplies for 10 vehicles, then if we can send 10 cars, send in concrete mixers to repair the road switch. Maybe we can make it so that trucks can run, but it might become impossible in the teens when politicians come. There's this thing where I think we shouldn't go until the people of Ishikawa Prefecture say, please have that volunteer come over. You're handsome. Ha, Chiku, are you aware of it? No, I'm not. You're probably just used to seeing it.
Like
Can the request be trusted?
ban.
I'm unemployed with a degree from Fukuoka Police University, but as a support for myself in Noto Peninsula, Ishikawa Prefecture, I made my relatives' children donate all the money they receive for New Year's gifts and visits to the Disaster Relief Fund of the Liberal Democratic Party. During this Great East Japan earthquake, the Liberal Democratic Party made Fukuoka special. But Mr. Yoroko, have you ever donated to the Liberal Democratic Party or the Japan Foundation Red Feather Action? Nice, isn't it? I usually send money directly. So in other words, I send money to the Liberal Democratic Party, and the Liberal Democratic Party decides where to. Are you choosing where to transfer? Not really. So make the Liberal Democratic Party myself. I'm making deposits by myself. So I don't need to dominate so I don't think there's any need to have these people choose something like the Liberal Democratic Party or the Japan Foundation or the Love Feather donation or anything like that. So I am the type who transfers directly myself. If donating to the Liberal Democratic Party somehow matches and doubles the donation amount, then I donate to the Liberal Democratic Party, no? During the Great East Japan earthquake, a company called DMM said they would do matching donations. If ordinary people donate 500 yen, DMM will also give 500 yen, making it 1,000 yen in total. So going by that, originally, only 500 yen could be transferred. There's a deal where, if you join match, DMM gives you 500 yen, so your 1,000 yen doubles. So we asked DMM if they could match us if we donated 10 million yen. So, since DMM gave the go-ahead, I was there during the East Japan earthquake. Somehow, I put in 25 yen into DMM, and then the DMM person later went to the Red Cross. We've had exchanges where we received donations like that. So if the amount increases in this way, I think there is a point in running other organizations. I don't think the amount will increase with the Liberal Democratic Party or Japan Foundation's replacement fundraising. So I don't think it's necessary to go through there. In the past, in Mr. Herxner's story, that the US index in NISA, it was a whim to invest in the fund, so I bought about 400,000 2 years ago. Now it has gone up by about 80,000 and continues to rise. Is this me? I Just for the record, no? I made about 80,000 yen, but it's not a confirmed profit unless I sell it, so I might let it ride or save it for the future. I thought I'd maybe say it's okay not to distribute anything, but thank you. Becoming a single mother at 40 and moving forward as a nursery teacher for the first time, do you think it's reckless? Yes, I think it's reckless.
I was a child care worker.
They say there are hardly any nursery school teachers in their 830s. Most people realize the lack of future in the job of a nursery teacher in their 20s and end up quitting. Only those in managerial positions stay. In the end, you can't keep it up without physical strength. And nursery teachers have really low wages, don't they? So if you're going to start in your 40s with no experience, you'll probably end up doing the same job as someone in their 20s, which means low hourly wages and physical strain. I think you'll probably damage your health before you reach a managerial position.
Thank you for watching.
So, not really within that. I think if you have a lot of money and don't really need to work, and if you want to do it as a hobby, you should just do what you like. I think if you plan to live on that money, it might be better to choose another profession.
Thank you for watching.
Shall we make it 20 yen to call? How do I get back? Can I go back here? Then I'll make it 20 yen to call. That's enough for today, as it becomes troublesome if we go overboard. Please don't make it like after this. You will donate 100 yen or 1,000 yen. It becomes troublesome. Huh? Can't I change my name? Can't change it here. Then let me go to the YouTube side. I have to change it on this side. I can't change it on the StreamYard side.
I wonder if I can change it on YouTube.
If I reload it like this, probably. I think it's different. Could you try reloading it? How is it? So now 8,600. It's 181 yen. So it's about 1020 times 86,000 yen. So it's about 172,000 yen. Salary amount. Planet donation amount. Could you please explain theoretically how to effectively remove a shackle? I would also appreciate it if you could tell me under what conditions it occurs. Basically, a shackle is muscles around the lungs. What was that again? Something about muscles? What do you call it? That kind of situation where those muscles are paralyzed. The reason I'm successful at this point is the diaphragm breath holding thing. So in the end, if you hold your breath for a long time, you can efficiently use the diaphragm. Because this training, yes, the training stops. So holding your breath is the most, I think it's easy to stop. But of course, there are cases where hiccups don't stop, even if you hold your breath. If you hold your breath for a relatively long time, the diaphragm's connection stops. Because there are many patterns, I think it would be good if you could do the breath holding thing. I'm a 32-year-old with an annual income of $2 million on sale, wondering if it's been good so far. How long do you think you can endure in this current state? No, isn't it fine? I think there's no problem with earning a living and living happily, but well, I think you're paying pension, so I think you'll be able to get a pension in the future. I'll put in a 90 and super stick. Seems like Hiroki-san is going to do some mischief in the next live update, but could he? But I was surprised because the plot is too malicious. Seriously, your living is too bad, isn't it? Please be really careful the next time you meet Hiroki-san. I don't think it's a match. Even in reality, there's no help for that person, right? So I hardly meet them, only about once a year. Is it true that President Putin believes President Trump will win the next presidential election on November 5th, 2024? If so, why? I'd like to hear Hiroki's opinion. Originally, some of the President Trump was somewhat supportive of President Putin and even praised him. Regarding that war between Ukraine and Russia, I believe President Trump said he's going to stop the Ukraine scene. I believe that's the case. So if America stops supporting Ukraine, but Ukraine's military power will drop quite a bit, so President Putin would be pleased. I wonder if it might be interesting after all. The number of simultaneous connections went up to 9,300, so it increased to 186,000, didn't it? How's the engineering business in Europe? I want to work as an engineer while living in Europe. I think the salary is relatively high compared to Japan, and the benefits are quite good. The things are also better. So I think America and Europe are totally possible options. To be honest, if you ask me how many engineers I'm hiring now, I end up hiring Japanese people because they are decent and cheap. Well, in the past there was a perception that engineers from other countries were cheaper. But now there is a rather Japanese cost-effectiveness issue. So hiring Japanese engineers is cost-effectiveness. In other words, Japanese people can get a better salary if they go to America or Europe. I was surprised by Mr. Hiroyuki today. I hope for some memorable stories or one-layered talks from Mr. Hiroyuki. Well, unfortunately, Yashiro Aki-san is gone. When I had a chance to talk with him, he seemed very lively. I didn't feel like it was going to disappear, but, well, it is a drop. In that, the case in the Nikki Teleto University, the YouTube channel with Narita Yuzuke-san, me and Yashiro-san, I was supposed to talk to the producer over there. You know, Mr. Beardo. The reason why it was Yashiro Aki-san, because Kuma-san wanted to create an opportunity to talk with Yashiro Aki-san. It was a personal desire. But as a result, the opportunity to talk with Mr. Yashiroaki is Mr. Rihak Takashi. In terms of being able to make a machine, I think Mr. Pear and Mr. Takashi did a good job. Oh, you collaborated, right? Yes, we did. He's 73, quite youthful, isn't he? It's 3 months from diagnosis. So there's this thing about not knowing when a person will die. So if there's someone you want to meet or talk to, I think it'd be better to do it sooner rather than later. There's someone who really wants to do a light hit. Since it's in the distribution stage, I'll add some details to get used to writing, but please only write. Choose a favorite number between 1 and 55, then 44. 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit numbers. 1 each. Any binary number in 8 digits. 000000000. I can't make a certain decision, and I can't rely on gambling anymore. Of course. Don't worry, I won't calm down my responsibility. I don't really understand what I just said. Comment. What do you think about vulgar and crude topics? Can you consider having a low libido to be uninteresting? I don't like strange topics, so it's just not interesting. You know, kids often want to say things like poop and penis. There are adults who dislike vulgar jokes. And I use vulgar jokes because I want to see them dislike it. So I do I don't really like the easy way to get laughs by just using vulgar jokes. So yeah. So I think that those who rely on vulgar topics to get laughs can't say anything interesting. You know, it's like garlic, it's whiny. I thought it was unusual. Comment I'm hospitalized. Throwing away all the heat of a runaway heat wave. Please hang in there and cheer up. Thanks for your hard work. Keep going. I quit my job due to a mental breakdown and have been self-studying programming for about a year. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Vue, Python. Managed to study the basics of Python and the like. And Python is the most interesting. It seems that for getting a job as an IT novice, it's better to implement an authentication feature in the portfolio, but it seems a bit difficult for me. Would it be easier to try if I added an authentication function to the photo portfolio? No. For authentication features, you can just use any available ones around. So wouldn't it be better to focus on completing the program?
I guess this is about right.
I was saddened when my family forgot to prepare my meal during New Year's at home. I'm going to do some meetups with my bad familial siblings in the future. Should I just cut ties and separate? And I'm going to say, oops, did it freeze? Or you okay? Why did you forget? If you ask for a reason, if you say this, if you are not prepared with this malice, it might be a waste of time to meet, so you don't have to meet. I think it's okay, but what do you think? So, I think it's okay to use your meaningful time to meet the people you want to meet. Meeting someone you don't want to meet can make you feel bad, and I don't think there's much benefit in using your own time for that. Since the time of one's life is limited, I think it's better to use that precious time for something fun. So, I think it would be better to use it, don't you think? Please consider the hypothesis that the sea is not the mother of life, but the father. Mom is a creature. The ocean is called a mother because it has the ability to create life. There really aren't any creatures that have been biologically duplicated. No matter what creature it is, its motherly being, well, excluding the bugs in the cave. It's like an egg in something like a womb of a living creature where a child is replicated and created. So the knowing that the sea itself provides this energy setup is enough. Because of that, since it doesn't have the ability to duplicate the creature itself, so the sea is a paternal love. I think it can be explained. I'm a university student with a developmental disorder. I started a part-time job after applying to high school and university. The feeling of being bound by time is very stressful for me. Do you dislike it as it's for this purpose, or can't you accept it as its work? I'm fully aware of it. Did you change your part-time job? Well, I think there are various jobs in the world, and some are suitable while others are not. So they think it might be better to change jobs. Hiroyuki-san has previously said that martial arts are the best hobby, but do you want to do martial arts, Hiroyuki-san? I don't think I said that.
Thank you for watching.
I don't think I said that this is the best hobby. Everyone has their own favorite hobby, and I'm not so into martial arts, of course. I guess you probably like games more, Kaikomi. So you probably didn't say it. Do you want to do martial arts? I did judo in junior high school, and then in the junior high school kendo club, and then I thought about going to training. I was part of something like a kickboxing club in college, but so I guess I've had some experience with martial arts.
I hate.
A colleague who's been with the company for 6 years and is 40 years old is on his PC. I should do that for hit the ball, and I do things that I can't think of. I'm making videos as an entertainer, but how do you think I and the company should respond in the future? Another name for a computer? I can testing it. It's no problem if you have several abilities other than using this, but if you don't have any other abilities, maybe it's better to tell your boss that it might be better to include this person in the team. I think it might be good. Comment. If we're preparing for the Osaka Expo, we might be able to handle post-disaster recovery. Isn't it a good excuse to cancel? Certainly, yes. Something like that. That the capability of that construction company is being used at the Osaka Expo, so that if you're going to use this ability for the Osaka Expo, wouldn't it be better to use it in Ishikawa or Toyama Prefecture? There's a thought like that too. The forkon nito, humama sa... I think it's okay for the country to say that we will focus on the recovery with the Osaka Expo as a turning point. Good job. People in Osaka might get angry though.
Thank you for watching.
The incompetent foreigner who doubled the principal in 4 years that I asked the other day. Thank you for the advice. I have calmed down. By the way, is 40 million yen, which was paid with an annual income of 6 million yen, pure in Japan? Is there any other asset mutual than Stock City to become pure? If you have about 40 million yen, I will also get involved in real estate. Are you ready? It's okay to have a real estate fund like ready to. The best drink I've ever had, and I generally find any alcohol tasty. So even with something like Ichiko, I find it delicious. So there isn't much that's incredibly tasty. About your middle school student who's going to take an exam this year. How much which do you think is better? Sakuoshi for the this up to a school designation or a battle if the deviation value is about the same. If you can get a job in the future, then I think combat is better. So if because of the university you want to go to or a subject you want to study, I think it's better to go to a place that makes it easier to get into that university. For example, if you don't say you want to do sociology or something, make sure it's no use going to a technical college. So you go to a new school and go to a liberal arts university. But if you want to get a job, I think it might be better to go to a technical college. There was another arrest in the slush fund scandal, but it feels like a scapegoat. The Komeito unaffected by scandals should become the ruling party, so why do people still expect the Liberal Democratic Party and the opposition party? Isn't it impossible to vote based on whether there's no scandal in the seemingly few 8 people of Asian Expo's national main split? I think it's not good to make it a standard without a scandal. Well, it's fine as long as the Komeito party is in coalition with the ruling party. I think it's not good for the Komeito party to be the sole ruling party. After all, the Komeito party is a political party created by believers of the Soka Gakkai. So currently, all politicians of the Komeito party are members of the Soka Gakkai. Therefore, they are people who prioritize Soka Gakkai over what the Japanese people should do. The idea of that religion, as long as you belong to a religion, people who do it as they build up their experiences as believers and because I've been told to participate in the elections. So about Kongming, people who go against the rules of the East, a person who goes against the rules of the overall scientific world, I think, cannot be comfortable in the Komeito party and cannot run for election. Yeah. Until the end, those people in Japan, except for the Komeito party, rather than happiness, there is a plan to prioritize the happiness of the Komeito itself. So maybe the so-called Komeito, which is not just the ruling party, is relatively someone out there is seriously saying beautiful things about justice and helping the weak. I really think it's necessary for politics to seriously say those nice things. It's necessary to have slush funds like the Liberal Democratic Party, right? It's better to receive money from economic organizations, isn't it? The part about the block is unavoidable, right? Too. But I think politicians should say proportions to some extent. So I do think there is a role for the Komeito. But when that becomes the ruling party and they start to control Japan, I personally think that it's not good for a religious organization to control Japan. I think there are people who think it's not like that. Yes! I'm sorry if I talk about it, but I hope that the dream fuel will develop in the future. The professor at Osaka City University has changed, so I want to be colored and move forward. What was it? Just normally that... It seems like it's made with chemical synthesis. It can be used like oil. And it's cheap. I've been talking about this kind of thing, but it's not at all practical.
Thank you
I have
for
no
watching.
expectations at all. Well, it would be nice if we could really do it, but I think it's not possible. Comment, did you have any relationship with Mr. Komazaki of Full Lens? Comment, I hope to get close to Hiroki-san by knowing the evil that he is doing, but I don't know about the evil that Mr. Komazaki is doing. As I mentioned in the last broadcast, I introduced the hometown tax in Shibuya Ward. So, if that money is being used for something bad, then the claim is that Shibuya Ward has done something wrong, hence the residents' infection claim. We can blame in the parliament that the way this budget is being used is not good. Using the congressman, there won't be any issues with what Shibuya Ward is doing.
Even if it happened in spring, it can be implemented in various ways, such as through the council, media, or residents' participation study. So I believe there is no problem in introducing it. This is the explanation. We did it last time too. I'm attending what's known as a strict kindergarten. If you don't eat your disliked food, you won't be let home for even 3 hours. Is that education outdated, or is it necessary regardless of era? Generally speaking, I think it's unnecessary. If you're attending one of those 3 prestigious kindergartens, it means it's necessary.
The vaccine.
So, I'm talking about the case when you enter a kindergarten with some kind of strict admission conditions. Parents can also exert various forms of coercion on their children. I'm prepared to invest time and money in education. Eating food you don't like is a very trivial matter. One must always follow the rules. We study to make sure that the surrounding environment, such as parents and kindergarten, is working hard to enforce the rules. You start to understand that. The thing about children is they strictly abide by rules and listen to what adults say, and thus they generally become a compliant child who is not disliked. Because those parents who wanted to raise such a child are attending a kindergarten called the 3 families. So I think it's right as a demand of those parents. But whether the child happy or whether the child will succeed in business or something, that's a completely different story. If you just have a certain amount of those genes and your parents also have money and you're an obedient child, you can join a big corporation as an employee and eat for a lifetime. I'm pretty sure that the line of not hiding will definitely work. So that's... I hope you can be reasonably happy at a decent company without becoming the lowest of the low society. I think the correct answer is to create children who are obedient to rules. However, whether that is truly happiness for that child or whether it will be a big success is unknown, so I think that's a different story. Why does Japan have pechoko? Is it because I'm from the Department of Management, or is it that even if you open YouTube or watch TV, even if the impact is bad, even if you take a train, there's only the effect of the railway? Why doesn't Japan have a large number of notebook companies, county companies, and personnel? Why not assign it to the site where there are not enough hens? There are plenty of job advertisements in other countries as well. The thing is, Japan has the culture where people don't switch jobs that often. In America, there's data that says people change jobs on average of 10 times in their lifetime. That's 10 times. So it's normal to adjust it about once every 3 to 4 years. But in Japan, isn't it quite normal to stay in the same company for 20 or 30 years? Well, certainly. On average in Japan, I guess people change jobs about 3 times. But it's okay if you've only changed jobs once. Or even if you've changed jobs 5 or 6 times. So on average, I think it's about 3 times. On the other hand, I think those who have found a job they truly love don't usually look for other opportunities. I believe people who don't want to work in black corporations anymore should actively change jobs. Even if there are people in that failing company now, the company can somehow sustain because people are working. But if people keep quitting the failing company, a black company becomes unsustainable. So that life where bad companies become unsustainable and many people try to join good companies. I think that if human resources become more fluid, there will be more decent companies in society. That's my thought. Even as an actor, in the East, kumultan ka sa basto kung mammayhan mo mammay tiyon to bataks na. Or this is often called a single consumption measure, but I have also traveled to magnification frequently. Welcome. Do you think so? I've briefly seen something on Live Door News about the way it was roasted. It was in a wakarata. Let's see, only people from Higashi-san's family live in Higashi-san's house. Nine. That which is related to the definition of a decent life. As for the production of Higashi, or rather, it's not that I live in the village, but there are 3 actors living in the same village. I'm aiming to be a hunter. Yes, I'm there teaching people how to hunt and helping them in the desert where there are many people. There are just 3 women, but I don't view this as a harem. Although I might be doing something unknowingly, but then again, what's the problem with that? Please forget the common sense of current Japanese society. As for how Mr. Higashi is living now, he's living a life where he fetches and eats his own food. Normally, meat is something you work for, earn money, and buy at the supermarket to eat. But Mr. Toy kills those animals and gets vegetables from his neighbors. It's a person who's broadcasting based on that animalistic lifestyle, right? Like animals. If there's a female nearby, they'd go for it, wouldn't they? Isn't it obvious? If a male and female dog are in heat together, the male will certainly try to mate. Mr. Tongen is quite lustful. So, even if it's prohibited, there are people who call like hotels, right? So, because they are animals, they would want to do it. And it's not like in a hotel or something, girls. It's not like a comedian who calls girls over. Girls are approaching, so they are not victims, aren't they? Right, like there was a huge 1-liter bottle like Ibia's Castle. So I think people like that should do as they please as long as there are no victims. So I think there are people who want to say it's weird or something with common sense. There's no one in trouble, no victims. If you want to do it, just do it. So it's like, I don't think it's a problem what others say about it. Humans are animals, so that's what animals are.
That's what we were talking about, right?
Staying as an animal is not a problem under Japanese law. It's the common sense of the city.
It might sound strange if I say
But
it.
under Japanese law, living as an animal, which is different from urban social norms, is allowed. So, if you're married and doing something like that, it's an affair, right? People might think about civil liability, damages and all that. He's even divorced and legally single. So do what you want to do. And if the woman you're dealing with is single, there's no need to apologize to anyone in particular. So I guess you can pretty much do whatever you like. But from what I've seen, it doesn't really matter. I feel like I haven't reached out. This is purely imagination. If hypothetically you're messing with these 3 women, there should be a big mess. There are 3 women who say they like Mr. Higashi and say, and if you get involved, it's not like it's going to cause a huge fuss, right? Who knows what's going on? Like if they're rejected, in love, upset. But maybe. So many times is feel like, goodness in it. It's just my guess. Calling all 3, Monday's wife, Tuesday's wife, Wednesday's wife, like the wife is doing, or there is a possibility that they are doing it like the people of the diversely country in the Middle East. From what I can see, if I were to reach out, I don't think it's that kind of distance. You know that distance between the man and woman who are reaching out, right? I'm currently married, but I've guessed my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend before. This
Thank
guy,
you for watching.
he's her ex, right?
And
You can tell by the distance. He was trying to hide it. Some people around didn't know about it. You can tell from the way he speaks and the distance. Oh, this person is probably the ex-boyfriend, right? Somehow, I understand. Of course, there are people who don't understand. I was with Mr. Hagashi at the end of last year. I guess it was around September last year. I went to the Eastern production area and did a barbecue. I've been streaming quite a lot, but somehow, in this kind of relationship, if he had made a move, we would be a bit closer, right? So, you use honorifics at this timing, huh? When drinking alcohol, it's a savoring mouth, but when you push in, is that something? The way we understand distance might be different, so I might be wrong. But you might assume I'm right. Sorry for reading this out loud. Shackling is Big Bear Fluff's myoclonus. Sorry, I don't understand myoclonus. I'm in the first year of middle school. Should I start studying now? Or is it better to play to a certain extent? It's that please make sure to get good grades in high school. If it's middle school, it's definitely possible to study while getting regular school grades. そうでさ、言ってや、トップソン。It's not a choice between playing or studying. The correct answer is to play while studying. So please avoid wasting time. By the way, when I say a waste of time, I mean unnecessary studies. No matter how hard you try, classics and Chinese literature are a waste of time. Well, you don't have to try so hard. You can get a decent score in the exam. So, Anita, I think it's okay to take classics and Chinese literature with a grain of salt. So, I think we'll do the same kind of broadcast next time. And it would be great if people who have time could increase their simultaneous connections. Thank you for your hard work. This is a test.